The galaxy's predators had gathered, fangs, claws, mandibles polished for ceremony, when the chamber doors hissed open and in walked a creature with no armor, no fangs, no scales. Just a smile, a handshake, and a voice that said, "Hello." The predators of the galaxy gathered in silence, each throne filled with a warlord who had carved empires out of screaming prey. Scaled generals with talons that could shred steel. Hive queens whose armies darkened skies. Mammoth leviathans who crushed moons for sport. They were the apex, or so they told themselves, and this council was their proof. No prey dared speak in the Hall of Dominion. Then the doors opened. A single human walked in, no armor, no visible weapons, no guards. Just a plain black uniform and a faint smile. He stopped at the center of the chamber, brushed non-existent dust off his sleeve, and inclined his head with almost lazy courtesy. "Commander Elias Ward," he said. "Terran delegation. Pleased to be here." The predators exchanged glances. Some laughed openly, others narrowed eyes in confusion. The newcomer's voice was soft, almost conversational, not the tone of a creature addressing apex predators. The irony stung. No fear, no groveling, no trembling knees. One of the reptilian warlords leaned forward, his voice like gravel. "You. This is the human envoy? We expected an army." Elias clasped his hands behind his back. "I'm more of a minimalist. Why send an army when one person is enough?" The warlord growled. Some predators chuckled. One insectoid queen tilted her head, mandibles clicking. Another predator, a brute with tusks curved like scythes, jabbed a clawed finger toward Elias. "Your soft flesh. No claws. No armor. You walk unguarded into a chamber of hunters. That's not bravery, it's stupidity." Elias raised an eyebrow, as if weighing the insult. "Soft flesh, yes. No claws, true. But you see, humans compensate. Where you've relied on fangs, we've relied on fire. Where you've trusted instinct, we've trusted patience. As for walking in unguarded," he smiled faintly, "let's call it trust." The chamber stirred. Predators weren't used to prey speaking with irony. The insectoid queen's antennae twitched. "Trust in what, little mammal?" Elias spread his hands. "That you'll listen. That you'll underestimate me. That's always step one, isn't it?" The laughter cut short. A silence lingered before a crimson-feathered predator cawed derisively. "We know your kind. Meat that learned to walk upright, fragile prey that learned tools. You believe fire makes you more than prey. It doesn't." Elias's expression softened. "Ah, meat. Yes. We are meat. But the thing about meat is," he leaned forward slightly, voice dropping, "we learned how to cook." Some predators laughed again, but unease rippled beneath it. The insectoid queen hissed. "You sit before apex predators. Worlds bow to us. Do you think Earth is safe?" "Not at all," Elias said evenly. "Earth is fragile, exposed. But fragility breeds creativity. When you have to survive predators bigger, faster, stronger, you learn tricks. Tricks you never unlearn." The tusked brute snarled, slamming a fist against the stone table. "Tricks? You think tricks will save your species?" Elias didn't flinch. "Not tricks. Strategy. There's a difference. Predators chase. Prey runs. But if the prey watches long enough, it learns where the predator always steps." His gaze swept the chamber. "And then it digs a pit." The words hung heavy. One of the elder predators, a skeletal being with glowing eyes, chuckled darkly. "You imply you've laid pits for us?" Elias tilted his head. "I imply nothing. I only observe." The predators shifted uncomfortably. The Hall of Dominion had seen 1,000 delegations collapse in terror, beg for mercy, or attempt bravado that ended in blood. This one was different. No bluster, no begging. Just calm, unnerving confidence. The reptilian warlord bared teeth. "We will send trial hunts. Fleets to your colonies. When they fall, when your people scream, when your blood stains the void, you will understand your place. Elias nodded slowly, as though making a mental note. Ah, trial hunts. Excellent. We've been waiting to test a few theories. The warlord blinked. Theories? About you, Elias said, his tone conversational. How you choose targets. How you overextend. How you assume overwhelming numbers guarantee victory. Consider it peer review. The chamber's atmosphere thickened, rage mixing with unease. The predators didn't like being studied, dissected like prey. One predator barked a laugh, trying to cut the tension. Your words are sharp, little human. But sharp words don't win wars. True, Elias said, smiling faintly. But they can start them. A hush fell. The insectoid queen leaned closer, voice low. What game are you playing? Elias glanced at her, his eyes steady, his voice mild. The same game you are. Only difference is, humans don't play to amuse ourselves. We play to win. The predators stirred again, unsettled. Then Elias did something unexpected. He pulled a small silver thermos from his coat, unscrewed the lid, and poured steaming liquid into a cup. The scent of coffee filled the chamber. He took a slow sip, savoring it. Several predators recoiled at the casualness. One asked, incredulous, "You drink here? Before us?" Elias shrugged. "Old human habit. We like to stay awake in meetings." He smiled over the rim of his cup. "Wouldn't want to miss anything important." The sarcasm was thinly veiled. The skeletal elder finally spoke again, his voice almost amused. "You are either fearless or insane, human." Elias set his cup down gently. "Fearless? No. Insane? Possibly. But mostly prepared." The predators froze. It was the way he said it, like a man reading from a script already written. For the first time, silence in the Hall of Dominion wasn't about dominance. It was about doubt. Elias looked around the chamber, his smile polite, his posture relaxed. "Well, that concludes my introduction. I look forward to our continued partnership." He gave a small, almost mocking bow. "Thank you for your time." The doors hissed open behind him. He walked out, steady, unhurried, sipping the last of his coffee. The predators remained seated, staring at the space he had left. And though none would admit it aloud, a strange and alien sensation had slithered into the room with the human and lingered long after he left. For the first time in their long dominion, the predators of the galaxy felt it. Fear. The predators wasted no time. Within days of Elias Ward's unnerving appearance at the council, fleets were dispatched to the fringes of human colonies. The predators had a tradition, a trial hunt. It was meant to break the spirit of new species, to prove that resistance was pointless. They expected screams, burning habitats, and a swift collapse. They expected prey. What they got was something else entirely. Admiral Soth of the Krelith war clan lounged in his command throne, mandibles clicking in anticipation. His fleet of 60 war cruisers glided toward the human colony of Andrus 9. The planet shimmered with blue oceans and sprawling cities, ripe, vulnerable. His crew roared with hunger, confident the hunt would be easy. "Begin descent," Soth ordered. "Crush their defenses before they squeal." The tactical display flickered. A few human ships, small, unimpressive corvettes, rose from orbit to intercept. Laughable. The Krelith ships outgunned them 10-1. "Admiral," hissed his first officer, "shall we toy with them?" Soth grinned. "Of course. Let them think they have a chance." The battle began. Human ships darted in, moving with a precision that seemed rehearsed. Instead of charging, they scattered, weaving through the fleet, baiting ships into pursuit. The Krelith laughed at the cowardice, until their formation began to stretch thin. "Admiral, we are drifting off course," the officer muttered. "Regroup," Soth snapped. But regrouping wasn't so simple. The humans weren't running randomly. They were leading the predators, nudging them into tighter funnels, narrow lanes of fire. A Krelith destroyer lunged after a corvette, only to collide with a sister ship emerging from the mist of a nearby moon. Both ships spun into the planet's gravity well, consumed in flame. What trickery is this? Soth snarled. Another report came in. A squadron of Krelith cruisers had been led into a debris field, where hidden mines detonated in perfect synchronization. 6 ships gone. The human corvettes reappeared, not retreating this time but striking surgically, crippling engines, shredding weapons arrays, then vanishing before the predators could lock on. The bridge fell silent as the Krelith realized they weren't the hunters. They were being herded. Back at the Hall of Dominion, live feeds projected the carnage. Predators from other species leaned forward in disbelief. The tusked brute who had mocked Elias earlier growled, "They're lucky. Nothing more. Tricks and chance." Elias sat calmly at the council table, coffee in hand, eyes on the feed. He didn't speak, didn't boast. He simply watched as though he already knew the outcome. Finally, one of the feathered warlords turned toward him, feathers bristling. This is your doing, human?" Elias looked up mildly. "Oh, not mine. Our tacticians are the real artists. I just admire their brushstrokes." "Brushstrokes?" The warlord spat. "Of course." Elias gestured at the display where another Krelith ship detonated. Every movement deliberate. Every casualty painted exactly where it should be. "Beautiful, isn't it?" The chamber filled with angry murmurs. Some predators cursed. Others sat frozen, riveted by the impossible sight of apex hunters being undone by prey. On the Krelith flagship, Admiral Sarth slammed his fist against the control rail. "Enough. Full charge. Destroy them with overwhelming fire." His ships obeyed, unleashing torrents of plasma fire. But the humans anticipated it, weaving into planetary atmosphere, hugging the magnetic field. The Predator's shots tore through their own formations, friendly fire erupting as chaos spread. Sarth's jaw clicked violently. "Impossible. They cannot know our targeting patterns." But they did. Perfectly. Within hours, the 60-ship fleet was crippled. Survivors fled into hyperspace, their howls echoing through comms. Human losses minimal. The council chamber was silent as the last feed cut. Elias set down his cup with a soft click. Trial hunt concluded. Results satisfactory. A predator slammed the table. "You orchestrated this. You baited them into failure." Elias's eyes narrowed, just slightly. "No. They baited themselves. You've grown so accustomed to easy kills you don't recognize a trap when it's gift-wrapped for you." The insectoid queen hissed. "You imply humanity has mastered us?" Elias shrugged. "Not mastered. Studied. There's a difference. We've been prey long enough to learn the habits of predators. You roar, you lunge, you overcommit. Predictable. And predictability is death." His words carried no boast, no raised voice. Just calm certainty. That was what unsettled them most. An elder predator leaned forward, glowing eyes narrowed. "You expect us to believe one battle defines you? That humans are suddenly our equals?" Elias gave a small smile. "Not equals. Different. We don't need to be stronger. We just need to be patient. And patient prey," he said softly, "always becomes something else." The tusked brute snarled. "Lies. You got lucky." "Perhaps," Elias said, folding his hands. "But luck tends to favor preparation. And humanity has been preparing for you for a very long time." He let the words settle like ash after fire. Across the chamber, whispers spread among the predators. For the first time, cracks appeared in their confidence. Fear was still distant, but unease had taken root. The insectoid queen tapped her claws against the table. "This cannot stand. If you believe a single victory frightens us, you are mistaken. We will escalate. We will send armadas. We will drown your species in fire until even your strategies collapse." Elias inclined his head as if acknowledging a fair point. You could. You probably will. But escalation has its own risks. Armadas are large, loud, easy to misplace. The Queen recoiled slightly. Misplace. Elias's smile never faltered. Oh, fleets vanish all the time. Wrong coordinates. Ambushes. Technical faults. Space is unforgiving. The predators shifted in their seats. His words were simple, but the undercurrent was unmistakable. This wasn't a warning. It was a promise. The meeting dissolved in heated arguments. Predators shouted, blaming Krelith incompetence, demanding more hunts. Others sat quiet, disturbed by the calmness of the human envoy. Elias rose smoothly, straightening his uniform. If you'll excuse me, I have a call scheduled. Colonies to check on, you understand. It's been a busy day. As he walked toward the doors, one predator called after him, voice trembling with forced bravado. You will regret mocking us, human. Elias paused, glanced over his shoulder, and smiled. I never mock. I warn. There's a difference. The doors slid shut behind him, leaving the chamber tense and silent. In the corridors outside, Elias spoke softly into his calm, his voice calm as ever. Trial hunt concluded. Predictions accurate. Phase 2 may proceed on schedule. The reply was faint, but clear. Acknowledged. Commander. The predators never saw it coming. Elias allowed himself a small, private smile. They never do. News of the Krelith disaster spread like wildfire. Predators who had once strutted across the stars now spoke in hushed tones, their certainty shaken. 60 ships lost. Barely a scratch on the humans. The galaxy had never witnessed such an inversion, hunters stripped of their pride, prey smiling in silence. And silence was what terrified them most. In the war hall of the SYTH Dominion, predators gathered, voices echoing across stone walls carved with ancient trophies. The tusked brute slammed a fist down, shattering a slab of obsidian. They are tricksters. Nothing more. We throw numbers at them, their games will end. The insectoid queen clacked her mandibles. Numbers did not save the Krelith. They danced like children, and yet the humans led them by the throat. By the throat, sneered another predator. You exaggerate. No, her black eyes glittered. I watched the feed. They planned every move, every sacrifice. They did not fight like prey. They fought like... She hesitated. The word felt alien in her mouth. Hunters. The chamber fell still. That word was sacred, reserved for themselves. Elias Ward had returned quietly to his quarters in the neutral city station orbiting Rylo's Prime. He moved with no entourage, no display of power. Only the weight of inevitability clung to him. On his desk, a chessboard sat mid-game. He picked up a knight, moved it, then sat back, studying the board as though it were the galaxy itself. The door chimed. Enter. A cautious figure stepped in, Varix, a feathered envoy whose people had long thrived by siding with whichever predator ruled strongest. His feathers twitched nervously. You, human, Varix said. You play with forces beyond you. The council demands answers. Elias gestured to a chair. Please. Sit. Tea. The alien hesitated. Tea. Calms the nerves. Helps with perspective. You look like you could use both. Elias poured without waiting for agreement. Varix's feathers rippled with unease, but he Saturday, your kind unnerves them. Do you understand the gravity of this? The predators are not used to losing. Elias stirred his cup slowly. Neither are we. Varix tilted his head. You were supposed to be prey. Supposed to be, Elias repeated softly, sipping. Funny how often that assumption kills the one making it. Meanwhile, aboard the dreadnought Vorkal, Admiral Techarwix of the Tusker Horde prepared his armada. 200 warships stretched across the void, fangs bared toward the human colony of Tiberian. We will not repeat Krelith's humiliation, HFY declared, voice booming across his bridge. We will swarm them until nothing remains. Yet among his crew, unease gnawed. Stories of human tricks, multiplied in whispers. Some claimed humans could predict predator thoughts. Others swore humans had tamed dark matter, bending it like clay. Fear, once unthinkable, seeped into the bones of hunters who had never feared before. On Tiberian, a modest colony, life continued with eerie normalcy. Children played in streets beneath orbital defense towers. Farmers worked fields under skies watched by unseen satellites. They had heard the threats. They had also heard Elias's calm assurance, "Let them come." And come they did. The Tusker Armada thundered into orbit, blotting out the stars. Admiral Tichorex grinned, tusks gleaming. "Sound the horns. Begin the slaughter." But as his ships moved, something strange occurred. Space itself bent. Not weapons, not mines, something deeper. Ships reported false readings, phantom signals. Formations drifted apart as though magnets pulled them sideways. "Adjust course." THRYX roared. But the void disobeyed. Through the distortion, human ships emerged. Not massive fleets, just a handful of sleek, obsidian-colored vessels. Small. Laughably so. Laughter filled the Tusker bridge. These are their defenders? Insects against a storm. Yet the insects did not flee. They weaved into the chaos, striking surgically. Tusker ships found their weapons unresponsive, their targeting scrambled. "Impossible," THRYX bellowed. "Explain." No one could. Within minutes, Tusker dreadnoughts collided with one another, guided into ruin by invisible hands. Human ships vanished and reappeared, always at the weakest flank, always one step ahead. It was not brute force. It was orchestration. It was a hunt. Back in the council chamber, feeds of the battle played live. Predators who had once laughed at human frailty now sat rigid, eyes locked on the impossible spectacle. The insectoid queen whispered, "They warp the hunt itself. They twist the field into their favor." Another predator shook his head violently. "No species can alter physics." Elias, seated calmly as ever, corrected gently. "Not alter. Understand. You mistake ignorance for impossibility. We studied what you dismissed. We built where you grew complacent. And now you see the result." The tusked brute roared, saliva spraying. "You dare claim dominion over our stars?" Elias smiled faintly. "Not dominion. Just survival. Funny thing about survival, it tends to reshape who's really at the top." The Tusker Armada crumbled. Hundreds of ships scattered, fleeing in disarray. Survivors spoke of invisible snares, human ships that slipped through cracks in reality itself. Fear spread faster than any human weapon. For the first time in recorded history, the predators tasted the one thing they had never known: doubt. In the aftermath, predator leaders gathered in a secret conclave. Voices clashed, accusations flew. Some demanded total war. Others whispered of retreat. "They are not prey," the insectoid queen hissed. "Not anymore. They must be extinguished before they grow stronger," another barked. Yet beneath the shouting, the truth lay heavy. Humanity was not just a nuisance. They were something far worse. They were unpredictable. On the station balcony overlooking the galaxy, Varix approached Elias again, feathers trembling. "Why do you smile, human? The predators will not stop. They will hurl every weapon, every world, to break you." Elias set down his cup, eyes fixed on the stars. "Good. Let them. The more they throw, the more they reveal. Every trap they spring, every ship they lose, it all fits the plan." "The plan?" Varix asked. Elias's smile deepened, just slightly. "Phase 3. The envoy shuddered. He had no idea what Phase 3 was. He wasn't sure he wanted to know. That night, whispers spread through predator empires like poison in the bloodstream. The words were simple, but they cut deeper than any blade. Humans hunt hunters. The galaxy reeled. Empires that had never doubted their supremacy now argued in panic behind closed doors. Armadas regrouped. War chambers burned with desperate plans. Every strategy ended the same. The word humans written in trembling claws, talons, and mandibles. Predators swore they were unbreakable. Now they whispered of shadows moving through the stars. On the neutral station, Elias Ward looked entirely unremarkable. He strolled the corridors with a mug of coffee, pausing to study a viewport where predator fleets massed in the distance. To casual eyes, he was simply a diplomat far from home. To those who listened carefully, his silence was far louder than their fleet's roars. The envoy Varix joined him, feathers flattened in terror. "Do you not see what you've done? They will unite against you. Tusker, Krelith, Rage, all of them. You will be crushed." Elias sipped, unfazed. "They should unite more often. They're better at fighting each other than organizing." Varix's feathers bristled. "You joke at the edge of extinction?" Elias's smile was thin. "Who said it's our extinction?" Far above, the Predator coalition gathered, the largest force ever assembled. 2,000 ships, dreadnoughts and carriers bristling with weapons, engines burning like suns. Their leaders swore no trick would save the humans this time. The insectoid queen declared, "We end this infestation now. We burn their colonies, their fleets, their name from history." The tusked warlord growled in agreement. "Crush them, and let the galaxy remember Predator's rule." For the first time, ancient rivals stood together. They believed numbers would smother the anomaly. But as their fleets advanced, something odd rippled through the void. Human ships didn't scatter. They didn't posture. They simply waited. On Tiberian, colonists carried on as though nothing unusual loomed in orbit. Farmers sowed fields. Children chased drones across courtyards. Above them, orbital stations remained eerily silent. Predator commanders sneered at the apparent weakness. "Look at them. They do not even prepare. This is no war, it is slaughter." And then the stars changed. One by one, shapes emerged from the void, vast, jagged silhouettes fading into visibility. Entire fleets decloaked, not fragile colonies' defense craft but warships designed with terrifying precision. Black hulls that seemed to drink in the starlight. Thousands of them, arranged in formation like blades drawn from the dark. The Predator armada froze. "What are those?" a commander whispered. Elias's voice, calm and measured, transmitted across every channel. "You assumed we only had colonies. You assumed silence meant weakness. It meant patience." The galaxy realized too late. Humanity had never been scattered prey. They had been waiting. The first salvo tore through Predator lines. Human ships did not rely on brute strength. Their weapons cut through hulls as if guided by intimate knowledge of weak points. Enemy dreadnoughts folded within minutes, splitting open like hunted prey. Panic swept the Predator ranks. Formations collapsed. They had expected cornered prey, not an armada hidden in the dark for decades. On the Council Channel, voices cracked with disbelief. They had a fleet. Impossible. "No," Elias corrected, his tone still almost gentle. "Not impossible. Inevitable. We learn from every predator who ever tried to own us. Every scar taught us something. You grew fat on old victories. We built in silence." Varix sat trembling in the observation chamber, staring at the destruction. You baited them." Elias finally set his mug down. "Of course. A hunter doesn't chase every beast. He lays a trap where they all gather." The envoy's feathers quivered. "You lured the greatest predators in the galaxy to one place. To end them in one stroke," Elias said. "And they came eagerly." The coalition fleet fought with desperate fury. For every predator vessel destroyed, 100 more opened fire. Yet no matter how they tried, human ships shifted like shadows, slipping between salvos, counterstriking with surgical brutality. The battle was not chaotic. It was orchestrated. Humans moved as though reading a score written long before the first shot. And slowly, inexorably, the Predator armada unraveled. On the Vorkal, Admiral Trex howled, tusks cracked, as ship after ship went dark. "Hold formation. We are predators. They are vermin." But his crew no longer believed. Fear had replaced hunger. "They know where we will be before we move," one officer whispered. "They see us before we see them." HFY bared his fangs. "Then die fighting." He never finished. A human missile split his bridge apart, leaving his empire leaderless. Back on the station, Varix turned to Elias with shaking voice. "Why reveal your strength now? Why not rule quietly?" Elias clasped his hands behind his back, posture impeccable, as though delivering a lecture. "Because sometimes survival isn't enough. They would never stop hunting us. So we made sure they'd hunt us all at once. And we ended the hunt." Varix stared. "You ended predators themselves." Elias's smile was polite, but it carried the weight of extinction. Someone had to remind the galaxy, the real apex predator wears a smile and offers tea before striking. Hours later, silence fell across the void. Predator wrecks drifted lifeless, their fire extinguished. Human ships stood unchallenged, black silhouettes gleaming against the stars. Whispers spread faster than light. The predators knew fear. Humans made them feel it. Elias walked the station corridors once more, calm as ever. The war was over, though the consequences had just begun. He paused when Varix caught up, voice hushed. "What happens now?" the envoy asked. Elias glanced at him, tone deceptively casual. Now we let them talk. Predators will argue, claw, and crumble among themselves. We don't need to conquer. We only need to remind." Varix swallowed hard. "Remind of what?" "That smiling prey can be the deadliest hunter of all." For the first time in millennia, predator empires fell quiet. No roars. No boasts. Only silence where pride once ruled. The galaxy had changed. And humanity, with its disarming charm and lethal patience, had stepped from shadows into its rightful place.